14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Alright. And then just wait until I'll be able to see if I'm live now. I mean, at least it says it's starting on this app, or at least on the software, but I'm trying to make sure. I get this. If I'm streaming now, I'll probably be able to find it here. I have to actually go directly to online. Let's see. Let's see. According to this, I should be expected to be online. It's taking its time to load. The only thing I just wanted to see is the streaming, you know, like I don't have to see on the actual screen if it says I'm streaming now. I just need to see next to my icon. It takes some little time to be able to see what's the official status on my profile. It shouldn't be too hard just to say you're streaming now. Okay, well, according to this thing, it says I'm live, not my actual account for some reason. Well, I'll just start anyway. So, hello everyone, this is Arc Messenger, or I guess for most of what happened in my class today is that the best term, or at least the best way of phrasing at least my, I guess, property name is the Arc Messenger. As you can see from this logo from previous times, I might only do a little bit of tweaking just to match it, but technically, I don't mind of it being called Arc Messenger Studios because I choose to, at least over the presentation. But the Arc Messenger will probably be an official name of like business cards or anything else. At least that's the feedback that I've been given. So, how's everyone going? So I'm going to go ahead and kind of give you a refresher of what's going on. So what I'm going to be doing today, as promised, I'm going to be creating, or at least I think it's like re-illustrating, you know, some of the characters, but not the ones I've drawn, but I'm going to do the existing drawings I haven't shown yet. So let's go. So here's what I'm going to be doing, you know, for Ske-Doodles. So this is pretty much the synopsis of this episode. What I'm going to be doing today is I'm going to be vectoring like these illustrations. and I can make commentary throughout, like as I'm illustrating. So, if anybody has any suggestions or any questions of whether what I'm doing at this time, as in like, okay, well, here's a good suggestion of, like of a topic. So I'll talk about like the reasons why I made like the Pink Panther. So I'm gonna go ahead and let's see if I could reposition these different things. I don't need this anymore. So I'm gonna go ahead and at least make a short story about like, about the Pink Panther generally. Like not just like the creation of it or anything else. I'll just talk about whatever's in the top of my head. So as far as the idea of when I first heard about the Pink Panther, it's just I thought it was just one of those type of Saturday morning cartoon shorts that people just posted around and just said, okay, well, I guess if that works for them at that time, then that's fine by me. But that's not the case. Oops. And if anybody else that just joined up, like I'm just here like in Ske-Doodles. Yes, I am using Adobe Illustrator, which is a type of software from Adobe Creative Cloud. This is just part of the like in Ske-Doodles. Originally, I just draw in Photoshop and just be able to make sketches and concepts from existing characters or original characters. So that's like pretty much the whole synopsis of like this segment for like Twitch. And then I usually later on edit it whatever I can and post it on YouTube. So I'm trying to see if I'll be able to see if I can finish editing like this illustration concepts between the Pink Panther's, turnaround. Let's see if I could find a different, I need transparency. I'm not sure why it's not. That's just the mask. Where's the... Oh, there it is. I'm selecting it. You know what? I'm going to go ahead and just redraw like a new one. So let's just delete this one. Yeah, if you're new to the show, I'm Arc Messenger. Like I'm just one of the like supposed to be like an animator. Yeah, that's pretty much my focus in my field. And like what time I use is basically use like these segments in means to be able to help out my focus and creativity. From segments of Ske-Doodles, which is pretty much any concept that I can draw, whether if it's from requested, characters or any other references, or even like, oops, or even just based upon anything that I'd be able to research of which is fan related that wants to be made, or something that is obscure, or even if it goes in a different direction, I could just go ahead and be able to make this concept of creating, let's see, creating like anything that maybe I don't normally draw and kind of enhance my skills. So currently, like, I'm just trying to use Adobe Illustrator just to create the vectors for the Pink Panther. So for the story, I was going to say about my familiarity of first being exposed upon how it came to be. Is the existing idea of where like since I'm usually like an animation nerd, like old school, so I'll be able to watch if I just somehow conveniently see like VHS cassettes, like whether it's at a library or any other. And this is like when I was a kid, like I usually just try to watch even the most obscure like animated films. Like for this case of how I found out the Pink Panther, there was just a collection of a series for Pink Panther. Like it's just like his best or some of the classics. But currently now you could watch it on YouTube to be able to see like some of the best classic, shorts. But as far as I know, like I always enjoyed, overall like of whichever classics are able. I mean, like I'm not sure how they age at that time, like if they aged well at that time or not. But at least one thing's for sure, I can definitely say that. Oh, I think I only changed that. Okay, that should work. But sorry, I'm jumping on conclusions. So I was watching this like at the time when I was just enjoy like some of the works from classic animation. And then there's this movie that came up affiliated with the name. And this was probably when I was, I think, either fourth grade or fifth grade. I was watching, and this was like somewhere 2004, 2005. I think it's like when the first Pink Panther came out. And when I first watched it, I thought it was okay when I was a kid. Like it was because like I knew it was based upon like the original, like kind of like investigation story, you know, with I guess Inspector Jacques Cousteau. Like I knew that was like in the original because that's why they existed at the time. It's basically like their adaptation of how they do a different take of this is what we think about, the Pink Panther. This is what it was back in the day, or at least our own take in modern time. As I said, it's okay. Like when it was first released, like it was just an average film. And I saw the second one, and no wonder that I did not feel like I benefited anything when watching that film. It was a type of film that it's like if you see different, scripts, and then you say, no, that's like this is a sequel. Like you don't need. It's not necessary to put in more effort, for that's just a fad. So like they decided, okay, well let's go ahead and watch, you know, like an existing film and just see if we can insert different idea or at least existing ideas at the time and just consider it as a finishing piece of the script. Because when you watch how do I say it? Like when you watch like this concept, on the screen, you can pretty much tell the difference of where the effort went. I think that's almost. If anybody has questions like along the way, you can message on the chat room. Like this is both like Ske-Doodles as I draw, and I can also answer questions or if I'm finished with something here, then I could do a different drawing. I guess it depends of the amount of time I might have. Okay, so this one I think it needs to extend further. I'm not sure if you return or not. As far as I know, like, illustration is just a thing that I should pretty much, make improvements on, because this one's just simplifying, of the overall concept. And I should have it now. I think this one's a little bit too far back. Or I guess I can add another pen. And that should be fine. Okay, so as far as, just the overall experience of the Pink Panther, like, I know, like, he technically has series upon, like, Netflix as well, but, like, it's been a while since I even watched, Pink Panther. Like, the only recent times I even, watched, the content is when I was researching on an existing character, which I chose Pink Panther because it does, like, it's, you don't have to worry as much on dialogue when you're researching on the type of characters that are not required or do not have to use any form of audio. So that was just partly of how I was able to get through it. And I think this one's more curved. Yeah, for some reason I'm just trying to fix things at times. Yeah, so that should work. There we go. So as far as the overall idea of using Illustrator, it's just to clean up some of the, like this like this front turnaround, like, and then there's the side one, and then there's the complex positioning. And also, I've been working on, through this few months, I've been working on a project called or at least it's not a project, it's basically like I think a short series. I consider it a short series because it depends if I'll be able to continue on with the idea. I'll be able to do like a kind of a series called The Amendings, which is basically when you imagine kind of like how you see Grimm's fairy tales, but instead of trying to be cruel, kind of it's kind of like a type of ideals of what society forgot. It's like of what we should have learned or what we should have figured out by then. Okay, so I just need the ear. So, yeah, you can just take samples right from there and just create existing content. Oh, it's masking. Dang it. Alright. Okay. I don't know what happened. So, as far as I know, like, I guess for the overall concept, I guess I have to delete this one. Okay, so let me go ahead and see if I could fix this. Okay. We're just going to go ahead and just create this from scratch without interfering with the ear. And if you're wondering what the sound was, like, it was my roommate. Yeah, like, I was just, it's nice, like, the blindness of him, you know, just going on his way. But yeah, like, of what I'm doing currently is trying to figure out. Okay. This should be fine. Yeah, so if, oops. Actually, I should be doing this. Hold up. I should be doing this, and then this. Oops. Just move it here. And then just copy of this, and paste right here. Okay, so one on the front, and then one on the other. But probably I didn't need to do that one. So, okay. Oh, I meant to do this. No. There we go. So, yeah, what I'm doing is just showing up how it looks, you know, tutorial-wise of doing simplifying, you know, like vectors when it comes to existing drawings or any characters. So, I think that's pretty much it of at least some of the stories I have. Like, if anybody has, you know, good questions about like what topic I should answer, whether if it's like I shouldn't, you know, go too personal or anything else. So just something that like if anybody likes to participate in the discussion, because if it gets to that point, like I'm not be able to have as much variety to be able to talk about, and now I'll just be focusing on just this drawing. Oops. All right, so I think I have, yeah, I already have this one. That's like the best part about, you know, After Effects is that if, okay, I got a text. As far what I'm creating, this is just to help out like the examples of how to, you know, basic vectoring. And it could even be questions about like about Adobe or Autodesk Maya or any other software that somebody that, whether if they're in the field of art or design or animation. Oops, I should be doing this. Okay. Yeah, so I'm going to be making more of these. Yeah, I think there's one for this. And this, yeah, like as far as of how simple it is just to create, you know, or at least be able to reserve some of the palettes, color palettes. It would get easier from there. Yeah, to make sure it's fixed through. That should work. I just have to make sure they're all aligned, decently. Sometimes they're not. Oh, okay. Okay, so I need to make sure I make another bullet point here because it needs to match up. Because the face covers it. Yeah, it seems a little bit too big, but I mean, when you watch some of the existing content, sometimes it's not even continuity of some design. You can even tell it's like, oh, on the flap here, it sort of works in most cases because it only goes up to here, for instance. I think that's why I should mostly focusing on is the alignment. But in this case, we're not doing that this time. And that's going to be like in the finalized structure. Yeah, so this should be fine at this time. So so I pretty much grew up with, I guess, most of original animation, like whoever they're pioneering at the time. Like, for instance, like, oh, for Disney, for instance, okay, what did they have? Not like very back at the time, but it's just at the time, like, when it was, I think it's their first revisions of some of the classic, TV shows. Like, well, maybe not including Looney Tunes because, like, I watched back in the time Looney Tunes that were like pretty much kind of aged well. Like when you watch them now. Sometimes not, but it varies on which selective episode, or at least selective shorts that worked. For Mickey Mouse, for instance, like there's only like a few that kind of stands out, but then even the revised ones are just not sure if they're dated or anything because it depends on the feedback of to compare like which is the better reboot. Which I have, like I said, going back to that argument about the Pink Panther, is like the idea of reboots. So here's my idea of what a reboot is. And it's not just because like maybe it's the idea of it's kind of like the idea of maybe it's kind of a fresh new take of for the new generation. which makes sense for, for marketing. Sometimes you want parents to enjoy it too, that sort of thing, because they grew up with the shows. It depends on what parents grew up on which show, and depends on which show that was relevant at the time when they were kids. Oops. I guess this could sort of work. I guess. Bottom line is that it varies, because for most people, let's just say the Powerpuff Girls, for instance. I watched it when I was a kid, and I thought it was actually a really decent Saturday morning cartoon. Like, it's sort of like, oh, this is their next generation, TV show. Awesome. But then when you see the reboot, I can understand why people didn't like it. It's because, at least the new one, and I've seen even their current special. I thought it was fine. I don't mind. It's just, I guess the only peeve that most people have is that when you see Powerpuff Girls, it varies on which episodes do cover upon, if they do fight, as Powerpuff Girls, or which ones they just talk about social norms and different things, or what you should do in school. I can at least respect if it's just the idea. If it's the idea of most people. If it's just, alright, like, it's one of those shows where it's not meant for me. And then there's some shows like I grew out of it, those type of ideas. But yeah, like when you see the Powerpuff Girls, and after seeing, what changes they made, like, I'm not sure if it's executive decisions, I'm not sure if that's the exact wording, but it's just kind of hard to be able to see some of the parts where they're trying their best to do their own take of the Powerpuff Girls. If, at the time, like, just the very, like, namesake of the productivity does not match the tone of what the original one was. If it's like a tough choice making by, okay, let's just say, for instance, I'm trying to think, like the Grinch, for instance. People love, the movie adaptation. Like, there are groups that like it, and then there's groups that say, well, that's sort of inserting, like, these different, already cliches, that we've seen in movies, and they didn't really treat, the source material with respect. Well, when I was a kid, like, I think I was like kindergarten or first grade when I first watched it. I didn't at the time, I didn't really notice those things because I just enjoyed of how it was. It was like me, enjoying, like, how their take was. But I can understand that most people don't like it, because I think it's just the idea that you should not be able to do something that's lazy, or something that you're intentionally trying to get rid of something that people enjoyed, that was already, a decent film, or at least a decent short, or decent source material, or even like a beloved one, like The Last Airbender. That one was a terrible movie. But despite of how people thought about it, like I just thought it'd be like, okay, well, maybe at least in this case, I just watch it and see how they take it. It kind of looks like it, but it's not the tone that's right. If people kind of understand where I'm going with this. The main thought about when I first heard about different movies that are getting reboots, people are sort of worried of how a person's take of the next generation's thought of reboots. As for me, I'm not sure either. I just thought, well, I'll give this movie a chance to see if they do something, at least something of a different take. Like, I don't mind, like, even if you repeat something to, to do something that maybe it's just to fix it, but it depends if what movies that need to be fixed or not, and then which movies that are unnecessary to change. Like, I'm trying to think of different examples, like for instance, RoboCop. I haven't seen the movie, but I heard people say it's a terrible movie. And I was like, okay, well, what's bad about that movie? And then they kind of make these different points of what are the sort of changes that they made of, different choices, like of their take. Because there's only like a few scenes I actually seen in the movie where it kind of shows like, oh, this is sort of showing of what happened to the person, of his body. He's only just a head in some parts of his body. I understand that. Which it reminds me again, it's like, well, I know it's their take, but like I said, I never watched the original RoboCop, so I won't be able to know as what is valued, like like what is valued, like of how movies. Oh, I think I did something wrong. Okay, so I think it's this part. Hold up. I think it was these two. And then just make a new one. I was wondering, is like, what happened to the. Like, I didn't even see that. Dang it. Alright, so. I'm not understanding why it's not doing it. Okay, so let's just do this and then just delete it. And this one, select here, and then just paste of whatever's in place. See, that one's a useful hint of if some of the functions don't work. Now I just got to make the tail, or I guess the feet too. I have to do that as well. But I think that one's going to be an easy step. I think I just have to do this. No, I guess that's not where it's originally at. Oh, it's right here. Okay. Yeah, here it is. So we're going to make copies of these. And then just whoosh, and then just boom, and then here's the feet, but we need to reverse them. And I'm just going to be showing one of the feet, I'm not going to show two. So let's go ahead and reflect them just normal. And then I might have to fix some of the things on the feet. Like this one, for instance. I might only have to do one. So the idea of reboots could work if it's done right. That's pretty much the overall idea. No one likes to see something that, if it's something that's already good and decided just to do an existing movie. I guess it varies of how long it might last. So, like the Lorax, for instance, I know that somebody reviewed it. I think it's, as far as I know, like it's the Nostalgia Critic. Like yeah, go ahead and subscribe to him if you can. But his take upon like when after watching the movie, like you can tell that he really respects Dr. Seuss as at least an author. Maybe not for anything else, but just like of how like creative it is just to encourage kids to read. And that's very hard to do, like at the time. So after watching, the review, it had me think, well, I think that's why, like, the Cat in the Hat, for instance, like their version, is pretty much the embodiment of, of a company that just didn't even care about what's something that's already good and just take on its end and just put matters into their own hands by just doing different things at a time. And that's why it's kind of unfortunate, because if they actually are able to put the time, then, to actually make it more entertaining, then that's what they should focus on. Like, if you're just going to be, using, this license of, of a product, and even if it's, at least try. Like, you shouldn't just say, okay, well, we know, like, this is just a fad thing, we'll just do an experiment and just, if it doesn't work, it doesn't work, whether it's live action or any of these other ideas. But you shouldn't be doing that, because that's like saying, like, you're trying to do something that, because here's like the main idea of why I think it's kind of a bad way to make business, is because you really wanted to, because if they really wanted to sell their product, they could just go ahead and just work upon a different idea where they do different, different styles of how they, make their content. Because if you're just going to be ending up, at least trying to do a different take and not just insert different story plots that's been overused or jokes that are outdated, then why even make a movie? Or even any adaptation? If it's something that is supposed to be relevant for this, or whichever generation that watches the film or TV show, or any content. Because that's what's benefiting. That's what should benefit, the company, is the idea of, like, if it somehow is something that is supposed to be relevant when they're, doing a TV show. Like Teen Titans Go, like, which I would have to say is, I'm not sure if it's helping or not, but for some reason, most people say, why are they pushing this? Maybe it's because of, I guess it's the kids' demographic or they're aiming for. Okay, well, that's fine. Well, there's these other shows that you haven't seen yet. Could probably put it out there somehow. Which is why it gets to the point where I think this is why, like, most people just didn't really take a chance by, airing out different shows. Because most people rather just play it safe. Okay, so I pretty much finished the side one. I haven't heard from anybody else yet. It looks like it's just Odd Sure 42. Am I saying that right? Like, it seems that because usually for usernames, it's sometimes like it does depend upon how people say it. Absurin. Alright, so yeah, I'm gonna do like another. This should be like the last illustration part of this thing because mostly I'm a storyboard artist, so because I already got all those existing pieces already for turnarounds, storyboards, sketches, dynamic poses, different references, and even like life drawing concepts. So the next thing I would have to do from there is just, okay, since we got this idea, or we're going to go to this direction, what we should do is focus on, plot, etc., etc. I'm not sure if like my stream's working because I haven't heard from that person back. But other than that, um, that's, yeah, pretty much the overall idea is just, okay, let's see if, try to make sure I get this right. We'll see how it looks, like, once I get to it after the finished product. There we go. Oops, I think I have to do it like that. Just stops there. So, Yeah, so let's go ahead and, yeah, this one's definitely needs some readjustments. And it should be fine, at least for now. So, and if you're wondering, like, if there's any, if there are any form of glitches of any kind, like on the stream, that's probably my bad because of how I have to use a limited amount of RAM because I'm only using a laptop. So I'm trying to make sure that I try to be watchful as I'm trying to watch the stream to see if anybody's still out there. Or at the same time, like if it's just the glitches of the software, sometimes Firefox does that sometimes. It depends on what has been considered. Like, oh, is this fixed or not? Yeah, I think for this one, oh no, I added it. Okay. So, yeah, this next one I'm going to make sure that for the stomach, I have to make sure that's selected. Oops. I forgot that I'm supposed to lock it. Alright, so as far as, as I'm studying, animation, the most case I'm going to probably end up doing is doing creativity, whether if it's tutorial based or whether if it's or any other format. Because like Ske-Doodles is basically just for fun and sometimes tutorials. But I guess it depends on what works for people. Probably for me, like pretty much most people are able to do this if they can. I think for some reason, all right, I have to fix this now. Yeah, I need to fix this one. So what just happened is something went wrong with the when it was doing the capture of this pen tool. So I'm trying to fix that now. There we go. That should be fine. If anybody hasn't, don't know yet, I usually, like I said, for the amendings from before, like I usually just show progress of what I'm making for that project for that short. So if anybody likes to see that, then that's up to anybody that wants to see any progress through animation. Let's see. Now I think I have to unlock this one so I could take that sample. and lock it again. Alright, so okay. I'm not sure if audio is working here, but as far as I know, like, usually I was able to get decent response, or at least feedback. So, at least for feedback, like, it's up to anybody if they can critique it. Alright. Yeah, for today I'm just working from different points after another, and sometimes make comparisons of, okay, so this should be fine. I think that's okay. It's not that bad. So where's the stomach area? Okay, so yeah, definitely move this down here because it's supposed to be an overlay. So it's kind of looking good so far. So this next part is one of the most strangest parts. Is like this arm. Like I have to guess where I have to illustrate those. As far as I know, like the best bet is just make small pieces. And from there, I just make different copies. Sometimes it's just the guessing game. Because there are some parts for these, this may be crucial. But I'm trying to see if I could arrange it to send to back. So, but there are some concept I have to make sure that sort of matches. Oops. All right. Yeah, so these are going to be at the very far back. Probably like after showing you this, because for now it's just even behind there. So just imagine like the hand is just part of something drawn. So sometimes like it's actually helpful to do existing positions for these. Because I think this one's going to be at the very far back. If you look at it now, you won't be able to see as much of a difference. Maybe this one. But that's pretty much the worst case. the last parts I have to do is just the feet, and I think I also have to make sure I get the face things again. And I think that after that, it'll be the end of the stream for today. Is once I finish this one. Most of the reasons of doing this is because it's supposed to be revising some of the previous works. Like for instance, when my instructor says, "Oh, for portfolio, you should edit this," because it would help within your own presentation, like of you being a storyboard artist, because they wanted to see a person that works well with existing content and a type of person that does well in even original content, to see of how they could communicate through the visuals that they've provided or that they create, whether it's by somebody else. So it does depend. Trying to see if I could find, yeah. I was trying to match this here. And then raise that up. And if you're wondering, yes, I'll probably have to make sure that that one lace there, or this, that's supposed to be where the foot is. Yeah, like this thing. So, yeah, I have to make sure I make a copy of this. Oops. I'm supposed to select here. Oh, did I actually? I did. Alright, so. Alright, so this is the next time where I'm going to be reflecting again. Now, instead of this, yeah, this part, just transform it. Okay, so, and then rotate it, and then that's as good as what you can. So just make sure it's aligned decently. Oops. Right. That should work. So this hand works on its favor. Oops. Supposed to scroll here too. Alright, so far it's working well. Now I just have to do this one other part, for the overall piece, is now the claimed head. Usually when I make videos, I try, or at least not just videos, but like when making content generally on Twitch, I try to try to figure out at the time, like, should I post this on YouTube or not? And like here's like their the origins of why I decided to do Twitch. It's because, as far as I know, like for any animators, for instance, most of the content that you'll make as a YouTuber, for animation, is pretty much pointless. Because I mean, like, what I mean by pointless is that it varies of how in a fan base, even with fan base, like it takes a lot of time to be able to work animation. It depends on who you reach out to. So that's why, like, I must at least applaud to, like, that's in the Game Grumps, team, that for one of the people for that's currently animating a cartoon or some sort of show. Like, it's a form of show, but we're not sure officially. The main synopsis. It's sort of like a synopsis of, it's a type of show that's like, hold on. Because it has, like a new. No, that's his old thing. But I think the current thing that they're doing, or he's doing right now, is, even though like he's the one that mostly hosts Doodle Dudes, but he also is working on this anime show that's, I'm trying to remember its exact name. It's called Gameoverse. That's what it's called. The show was called Gameoverse, like Ross O'Donovan. Like, he's an animator that is pretty much passionate about like any content drawn animation, especially like of when knowing like some of his update videos that talks about like where is this channel going in this case on his YouTube channel. The reason why is because, like, well, if you're wondering, I'm doing animations on, or at least doing drawings on YouTube. Because, or not on YouTube, but like on Twitch. Because technically I mean, like, even though YouTube's, catching up onto this as well. But I think the main reason, specifically on Twitch, is because you can interact more with people. You get more, recommendations upon, certain people that you might be interested in. And sometimes, like, there might be, like, type of, content that you like to see during streams, whether if you get donated or anything else, like, donated, like, money just for streams. Like, it varies, but to me, like, it's just my way just to be out there. So, and it's just the same thing, so I'll be able to interact with people as well. And that's why I enjoyed most of this, is because well, first of all, like, it kind of helps me to interact with people. But at the same time, it's something that's a necessary skill for anybody. Like, as an animator, like, you do need to, work upon, here's this idea. Why not we just, do Twitch? Because that way you could, be able to have more publicity in that way. You say, sure, like, we'll go ahead and it depends on what ideas that you have, or what ideas that you have sorry, I was, I guess I was sort of in the wrong pipeline. But as far as for like whatever content you want to make for Twitch, the most thing you have to make sure that you should do is to put videos also out there too, besides just doing Twitch. I mean, like, as far as animation, it does vary of what ideas that you might have. Like doing podcasts, for instance, like that exists, but you have competitors. So basically, you're trying to find ideas that maybe you'd be able to stand out more. Is the type of ideas that you could just say, oh, here's this idea, and like, even though people have done it before, but you're doing it a different take of how most of these things are made. Like, for instance, okay, like why do you decide to create this? And for mostly for me, I would be saying, I think I've wanted to make something like this because of, as an interactive standpoint, like I'll be able to talk to people more that way. But yeah, like it depends on how good you'll be able to do it. Like I may not be the best person, but at least I'll be able to show like some of the things people may want to learn, or some that they want to see of what my take is in an artistic perspective, or even just like my concepts of what I draw, whether if it's original or not, and see how people would think about that. Which is, I thought, like, it's refreshing, at those times. I'm trying to make sure that yeah, so this one I have to make sure the ears, this ear in particular, goes forward, and then make this ear go out. Alright, so I'm trying to do this. So alright, so okay, I think I'm trying to remember. So the one I'm trying to, to recreate is probably the ears. So the ears are pretty much similar to this, but yet I'm gonna try to copy this. So, oops. All right, so And overall, I actually do enjoy like most of the times that people, whether people watch like other videos back in time. And I think maybe what I should do is like, edit the videos, a little bit better, because at this time I'm not focusing on that because I just want it out there. Because I'm not usually like a YouTuber that's able to have the time to be able to edit videos like that. Let's see. So, trying to see what this one says. This one. Alright, so yeah, I'm working on eyes now. Yeah, so I'm going to have that one forward. Yeah, so there. And then just overlay like this. Or in this case, I'll probably have to move it further back to where the head is. Dang it. I guess I sort of got it. There. And that should work, hopefully. Yeah, so this next one I'm going to be creating is the nose part. Because I'm literally taking my time on this. So, oops. Actually, I had the wrong one. Right here. And just like this. Actually, I probably have to remove the head too. Right there. Okay, so. And this. Do it like this. Do it like this. Do it like this. Do it like that. Yeah, so this should work as something. You know what? Hold on. Just, yeah. Raise to here. Oop. Alright, hold on. Okay, so let's go ahead and check. Yeah, it's working out. Yeah, so the last things I have to make sure I finish is the eye part, the eyebrows, the whiskers, and probably the last thing I would do is the feet. So those are literally the last things I have to do. So let's try to move these. Trying to make sure what's left. So let's go ahead and have the eyebrows out now. Because it looks like a good time for it. But I think I have to. I think depending on the dimension where I'm doing this, I think I have to do one of each, you know, in this way. So this first one is, yeah, this part where it's like, okay, so that's the first one. Maybe I do have to edit a little bit. There we go. And after those two, then I have to create another one on here. Yeah, so this one is going to be moved down. Wait, maybe up. Because it does depend on where the head is. Okay, this might work. So yeah, so this should work. So the last thing I have to do with the face is just those two things. Let me see if I can remove these two and probably the head. So, sorry. So no, this part I'm going to be doing is, okay. Yeah, I should just remove just the other one, but I'm not going to worry too much. So yeah, I have to do the other half behind. So I think right here. Okay. Yeah, so I think this one might be a little bit too long. There we go. So yeah, we're gonna try to go through each part. Okay. Now I just gotta focus now just on the main eye and then the feet. And I think after that, and then the feet, then I should be done. So I think after here. So after this one, it's then trying to focus. Okay, what's the those particular eyes looking at. There we go. And then same thing on here. And yeah, I'll probably have to again readjust it so I'll be able to match it of how it would be looking. So there we go. So not, like I said, I'm not sure. Okay. I'm seeing this now. I think the eyes are much different, so let me fix that. So yeah, so it should be looking over there. And then as for the other eye, okay. And at least that confirms that, so delete that one. Where's, okay. Paste in place. And there you go. And that's how it should be looking at, or should look, for the eyes. So now I just gotta do the feet, which, jeez. Yeah, I just have to, probably the best thing to do is just select where the foot is. Or I guess one of them should work. And just do this. Then you're ready. So now, one of the difficulties is trying to figure out where should these feet go. And then yeah, this is part of it where it's still trying to figure it out. Yeah, sometimes it's just, there might have to be additional laces on these. So, sorry. There. Now I'll be able to now fix this. Let's see what it looks. Alright, not too bad. Well, let's now focus on this other one, which I think I can lock it now. Or, yeah, I'll leave it on actually. The last one is this last foot. actually, hold on. So, yeah, so this, then this, then this, this, and then this. What does it say? Ready, round, alternate. Add all of this, not tomorrow. Okay, so yeah, so just making sure. All right, so yeah, I was just checking on like email and whatever else, or email or messages. Okay, so all right. I'm trying to fix something, but I guess that doesn't work at all. I think most of this should just be fixed by sheer contemplating movements. So, all right. Sorry, I have to make sure that. Probably the better way is just color it in anyways. Probably that should have been. But I think the reason why I didn't want to do that is because it would show like that. This blank space. Um, and then after adding this, like, yeah, so objects, just, I guess, send back one. So, there we go. Because I'm trying to see if I can finish some of these specific details. It's almost finished. I was just making sure. why not? I think that's pretty much it. Yeah, so this is pretty much like, at least if you've seen through the illustrations, like I try and make sure exactly of how they should look, and yeah, this is pretty much the overall format of how it looks. So yeah, I'm gonna see if I'll be able to have, I think, about 5 minutes until I sign out. So as far as what's going on, I'm still gonna try to keep the pace for some of my work in between. But most of the time, I'm just gonna try to see if I can go back as usual, by just focusing on more illustration. Well, not illustrations, but continuing on to the traditional, like, Ske-Doodles, just doing sketching and doodling. Like, this is just, like, sort of a special episode. I think this is, like, the fifth. Yeah, I think this is the fifth Ske-Doodles thing. Right now, I'm just trying to weigh of what's going on the software. Let's see. Yeah, as far as I'm looking, like, there's really nothing too new. So, yeah, just so, like, everybody is aware. The main idea of doing Ske-Doodles or Work in Progress, which is the other segment, which is on Thursday. On Tuesday, it's Ske-Doodles. So, if you haven't seen them yet, you can watch them either, at least whatever episodes are there on Twitch, the ones I'm able to put up that are unedited. But as for the rest of the other videos, like Ske-Doodles, for instance, this one will be uploaded, like, at least most of the streams that I've posted, like, will be every Wednesday of Ske-Doodles, that either if they're, like, completely unedited videos that are finished, like I don't have to edit as much, or if they're, chopped pieces, like if they've done it in such ways where have, like, more than one video, then I'll probably make sure I edit that better by saying, like, this particular date of the stream, like, there were some problems, for instance. So, if you don't know yet, like, I'll just catch up with me, like, within any social media that you can find, whether if it's Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube channel, and even, like, if you're watching on stream, or if you're watching the stream now, like, those are the things you should look for. If you're seeing this on YouTube, like I said, every Tuesdays and Thursdays, like, I'll be streaming. So, like, that's pretty much it. So, thank you for everybody for watching, and hopefully that you live this, be able to try your best to live the best lives as you can, and just stay tuned for the next episode or the next stream. Okay, bye.